My name is Morgan David. When I went to Full Sail, I was in the recording arts program, and I'm now an assistant engineer at the Hit Factory Criteria. It's just Criteria Recording Studios now.
Cool. And what year did you graduate?
Oh, 2018. June of
18.
2018.
Okay. God, it's already been 2 years.
I
Wow.
don't know. Just hit 2 years. And my 2 years at Criteria is August 2018, so August
Beautiful.
13th, actually.
Wow. Great. I'm so excited. And just out of curiosity, how are you guys doing? Are you still getting business? You staying busy?
Yeah, it's been a little off and on, and for a while it was like nothing whatsoever. We had like one serious project come in for like 3 months, but then now it's kind of picking back up. But even so, it's limited numbers. If you don't abide by that, you're getting kicked out, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
definitely affected us.
yeah. So, I mean, Miami was pretty hard hit,
Yeah.
COVID. Not to say that we're much better off up here in Orange County, but
Yeah, people don't stay aside around here.
uh, so we already have a question. Is that they're asking if that's Luna. That looks like the UAD console to me. I
Oh
think
yeah, that's the console. Yeah, that's just the console. I have a
yeah.
lot of Apollos going on. We have the X8 going to a twin, and then we have another twin coming out of the outputs to the X8. We have a lot of stuff.
Love it. So, did you always want to be a recording mixing engineer, or did that once you got to Full Sail, did that path get informed for you? How did that work?
Well, I kind of was always just like more into music. I just found myself in band and choir growing up, and then I just always had headphones in my ear, and you couldn't tell me anything. Like I thought I was gonna be Beyonce, you know what I mean? And then I was doing tours for colleges and I came across the Art Institute, and that's the first time I had ever seen a console. Like no one had really ever said like producer to me. I heard of Timbaland and all that, but I didn't know like producer. He was an artist to me because I heard his voice. So I saw the board and I was kind of like not like sold, but it was more like curious. So what does that do? And so I went to that school, and as I learned more, I knew that's what I wanted to do. But then I realized like this is not the place for me to do that. I wasn't learning enough. I had to teach myself too much, and there was just a lot of like other personal stuff. It was too close to home. There's too much I had to deal with. And
Where
then
was that, Morgan?
Lansing, Michigan.
Okay. Yeah,
And then
those art institutes are all over the place, right?
yeah, everywhere. There's one in Miami too. Actually, a lot of people at the Hit Factor that I work with have come from the Art Institute actually. But
Okay.
I just didn't like it in the environment, so I moved back home, and then I ended up having my child, and I just within the same month I ended up going to Full Sail. So I think I had applied like well, I was 9 months pregnant. I came down here at 9 months pregnant to get the scholarship, and then I started online for 4 months, and then moved down
Oh,
for
that's good. So you had that time with her, especially
yeah.
the first 4 months are so important.
And then they only let you do like one class a month online, so that was
Yeah.
really nice. But then coming down here, it was just kind of like, and actually when I came down here, I had like kind of more opened up to doing sound for movies. So that was my plan when I came down here. Like I want to do sound for movies, but then music has always been my thing. So with all the class, it just kind of this is what I wanted to do. It just kind of spoke to me, especially with I mean, it was so hands on. So with all the mixing we had to do, being able to go to you after class, and I will never forget this when I was like, oh, I just want to know if this sounds good. And you're like, I mean, I don't really think it's a creative decision to make your drums sound like they're in a basement. I was like, oh man. But stuff like that is good. I didn't get that at the Art Institute. I didn't even know what mixing was. So, yeah.
I forgot that I had said that to you.
No, but stuff like it's good.
Um,
Constructive criticism.
little too honest sometimes. It's like, Morgan, did you mean to make your drums sound like they were in a basement? No. I'm like, okay, then that wasn't a creative
Or you'll
decision.
put them in a closet. So,
Hey, you tried. That's all that matters. um, so while you were a student at Full Sail, you did a really great job of, you know, coming into office hours, sitting down with your instructors, really picking their brains. You were always around the smartest, most ambitious students. So that kind of set you up for success, right?
Hmm.
And then um, when you were at Full Sail, you were already making connections with like Marcella and Demo. And that was before you even graduated. So, can you talk about how you met them and how that relationship grew?
Well, so I had my daughter and started Full Sail initially online in August, and I moved down in January. And as you all know, usually, I mean, it's been weird the last couple of years, but usually Hall of Fame is in February, as far as I could remember.
Mm-hmm.
And so coming down in January, they're starting to promote and do a bunch of stuff. And so I'm just, ambitious, and I'm on Connect one day, and the first thing I see is there's a student experience and there's a mentorship program, and all you have to do is write an essay and whatever. So I wrote an essay for the student experience. Just I think that's like you get into extra panels and you get to meet more people or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't remember what the essay was about. And then I had to write an essay for the mentorship program. And that one also included like what type of mentor you would want. And I had to pick like, would you want more coaching or more like, I can't even remember the other ones. I just remember I picked like more of a coaching one. And then I got an email like probably like 2 weeks before Hall of Fame saying that I was chosen for the mentorship program, and that my mentorship would or my mentor would be Demo. And so I met him one of the first days of Hall of Fame week, and we just had like I think they gave us like two 45-minute meetings, and then so we had our first one, and then our second one is when I told him I had a kid, and he was like, "Oh, you have a kid? Like, oh, you need to talk to Marcella. I think she's here." And he texted her, and we walk over to Marcella. So then after all of that, in Hall of Fame, I just kind of tried to keep a relationship with both of them. Demo, I would like text here and there. We would have a phone call once every few months. I would just tell them what's going on. Like, oh, hey, I started working for WWE on campus. Oh, hey, I'm doing Spark. Oh, I did this Pride Week. I had him listen to the mix for your class. Um, so that was good. And then he helped me like, because at that time, then I started thinking like I want to work for Marcella. So then he helps me kind of like, okay, well, this is what you need to do. Marcella's not an easy one, you know what I mean? So um, that really helped. But Marcella was kind of always like interested because when I first met her, she found out I had a kid, and she has a kid, you know what I mean? So, but she didn't have a kid while she was doing it. So she's always kind of, kind of like had her guided me, kind of had her arm around me. So that's when I kind of start meeting with her more and want. So that's probably like the October before I graduate, and I graduated in June, and I start kind of pushing more for that. And she kind of is the one that turned my site towards the Hit Factory. It was like, I only have 3 rooms. And sometimes I'm not even here. She's like, we don't really need that much. Like, I don't book to like, you can't just call my studio and not book. Like, you can do that with the Hit Factory. So she was like, I think the Hit Factory would be better. And there's not a lot of studios like that. And it is still Miami. Um, so then that's when I kind of turned my sights towards it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about criteria is even as a general assistant, you're still getting paid.
Yeah.
There are no unpaid positions there.
And honestly, as a GA, you still get sessions if you're good and you've been there a few months, you know the ropes. Push comes to shove and all the assistants are already on session. I mean, we have 7 rooms. People go on vacation, people like I don't even think we have 7 assistants right now. So it's push comes to shove, you're gonna get thrown into a room so fast. Like, and you better be ready. And there's been times where I was not ready. And they're like, oh, where's the aux? And you're like the aux, bro. Like it's
But that's every studio. It's like we have all these great paths for signal flow and all this outboard gear. And then someone's like, I want to plug in my iPhone. You're like, oh, we don't have a cable to do that.
right. Or like it goes out and you have to like sprint across the studio to get another cable, and you're like, that should be the simplest thing.
The simplest thing we're not ready for.
That's why no, and I've run into probably like it was probably 2 or 3 situations where like you come in like we get an hour before to set up our room, so you come in 5 minutes later or something when you are not practiced. Like now, like I just showed up to my session the other day 30 minutes before and had everything set up within 15 minutes. But back then I needed like an hour and a half probably, and I would come in sometimes 30 minutes early and just do it off the clock because I knew I needed it. But you come in, you had a lot going on that day. It was an add-on. They walk in when you walk in. You might be struggling, and you forget to test something or you just don't test something. Um, and it bites you in the butt, like just something so simple as computer audio or the aux cable or even like the mic signal. Like, yo, you didn't hear that the compressor is super messed up? Like, oh, you just didn't hear that. Okay. It's like,
Oh no.
oh.
But that's cool that, you're able to kind of make mistakes and do trial and error until you
Yeah.
figure it out, you
The
know?
cool thing is that all the engineers are, like you, have been in the industry and have been in my position and are like, yo, if you do mess on the no sweat or let me show you how. Some of them, could be a little, and depending on the situation, if it's a high stress situation, like you need to have that together. But for the most part, most people be like, no, you just do it like this, or hey, there's another way to do this to get the same outcome. Like they want to teach you, they want to see you do good if you like have ambition.
Mhm.
But
So
if you don't,
yeah,
like,
so when you were at Hall of Fame last year, I was really surprised that you said you started out at Criteria with like maybe 5 other GAs and you were the only one left.
yeah, well, I think no, just me and one other guy.
Oh, okay.
He's still there, Felipe.
Okay.
Uh, but yeah, so it's I think yeah, there's five of us. Let me think. There's Anthony, there's Moses, so me, Felipe, and then there was two others that came and went. But yeah, when I started, there was the five, and quickly, like the one guy that trained me, after like 2 weeks to a month, he put in his 2 weeks, and he was gone. And then we got another guy that I ended up having to train, and then we we all kind of went strong, and then another girl came along, and then we all kind of went strong like that for a while. There's like 6 or 7 of us, and then this or January hit, and the girl quit, and then March hit, and the guy had to go back to Ecuador. And then June, another guy had to go back to Colombia, and another guy quit. And then it was just me and Felipe became assistants. We were the only two left.
Wow. So just sticking it out and doing the hard work.
It was
And
crazy.
yeah, it's
Like,
crazy.
and that's happened again and again. Like the assistants have kind of stayed strong and kind of don't really go anywhere, but like the interns, the GAs kind of keep flipping.
Yeah. And do you think maybe it's because they have an expectation that isn't being met
It's
or
either like expectation, ego, or impatience. It's
mhm.
any of those, and you can't have any of those. And I've had to check myself a few times. Never, honestly, not so much as a GA. I just wanted it so bad. But in this phase, as an assistant, I've had to check myself a few times. Like, bro, you still have stuff to learn. You're not ready for the next step, or you might be ready for the next step, but it's not here yet. You're still an assistant. Like, check yourself. You can be an engineer on your time, but at the studio, you're an assistant. Check yourself, like, and do whatever's being asked of you. And that's that. You want to bitch and groan sometimes. Your 12-hour session just turned into 24, and it doesn't seem like it's ending. And my baby's at home, and like I just don't know what to do. And then there's another session tonight, and she might have to sleep at the studio. And I'm trying to talk to the GAs, like, don't let. I'm locking her in this room. Like, so bad. It's so. She's never had to sleep at the studio, thank God, but it's gotten very close.
What was the longest session you've ever done? Can you remember?
I used to say 36, but we just beat that in like March or April. We were there with Gabby Music and Unwell, the Unwell album that just came out. So they were mixing it there. They had 2 rooms. It was me and Felipe actually, and we went. We just kept going, like long days, back to back. We were there for like 2 weeks, and one day, I remember it was like we left probably like 9, 10 a.m. Come back like 3 p.m. And then I don't even think they showed up till like 6. So that always sucks. And then they're there and they're doing a bunch of stuff. And I remember one of the engineers say, "Oh yeah, we have a deadline. We're gonna be done by 9." Well, all right, cool. And then it's 8 a.m. the next day, and me and Felipe are like, "What the fuck?" And then my boss comes in and he's like, "Oh, Trevor." He's like, "Oh, you guys are still here?" And we're like, "Yeah, I don't know." And they keep saying, "Oh yeah, we're probably gonna leave." And then Trevor leaves for the day. And he's like, "All right, see you." And I'm like, "Yo, they said probably 10 p.m." And he's like, "Okay." And he normally he'll text us and, "Hi, how are things going?" He didn't even text us. He couldn't even like fathom that we would still be there. He texts us the next day. I think it's Saturday or something at this point, so he's not coming in to the office. And he's like, "Look, I didn't check in last night because I just didn't want to believe. Like, please tell me you're not there." And I'm like, "No, we're still here." And they literally went till 3 p.m. that day. And they had me. They're like, "All right, we have a new GA coming in. One of you leave." Because they weren't even really using my room. So they're like, "One of you leave." And then we're gonna figure out how to get the second one out.
Wow.
Second one ended up having to leave, and the GA finished it because it was
So when you
bad.
first got
It was
to,
exception, not bad. It was just bad hours wise.
yeah, totally. So yeah, don't think you guys are getting in and out in 4 8 hours. Like
It was
sometimes these
probably
go for days.
I think it was 43. Well, I hit. Felipe probably hit like 47.
That is crazy. So when you first got there as a general assistant, what were you doing? What kind of tasks did they have you do?
When I first got there, it was really kind of just like shadow. Really like so. I mean, not more on like as a GA, kind of like they have you restock and whatever, but you do that 2 times. You can do that on your own. But then walking around the studio kind of shadow. I remember like they had one GA come in and help the tech. They were moving one of our consoles to a different room. And so it was my shift. So they just kind of had me help with that. Um, so it's cool being able to see stuff like that. But then otherwise, I was getting food, I'm cleaning and I'm the new GA. So if I'm around, oh, yo, there's a toilet clogged. And all the other GAs look at you. And you're like, oh, okay, like, all right, I guess this is fine. This is and then as a girl, you don't want to complain. So, you're like, and especially because the toilet, like, I'll just do it. I just got to do it. I can't clean her. So, but other than that, yeah, it's like a lot of vacuuming, I mean, the GAs now, he has them like painting and how we have stuff under like the reconstruction and stuff. Um, so half the studio's down, so the GAs are moving a bunch to having to help with this. I'm glad I did. I'm not. But yeah, it's just a lot of work. I remember at one time like we have a mini fridge in every lounge, and it was I don't know if you know the mini fridge freezers get like all that ice and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so I had to take all of them outside and like close them down and get all that stuff out of there. And like there's some fridges that are upstairs. So I was like, I brought one all the way downstairs, and I remember Sam coming up, and he was a tape librarian at the time, and he's kind of in charge of all the GAs. And he's like, "Yo, Morgan, there's a balcony. Why don't you just take it to the balcony?" Took it all the way down. So I'm like, yo, I was so upset. But yeah, it's just a lot of stuff like that. Just making sure the studio's good, everything's restocked, napkins, cups, like everything. And I was kind of OCD about it. Like there was 8 cups. There's 2 stacks of 8 cups everywhere. And then it gets down to you don't have any of that, like, because that's what I learned about a studio is don't be doing nothing because there's always something to be doing and they will give you something to do. So, all the stands in the rooms, we have tape for each room. So like Studio A has yellow tape, Studio F has blue tape, and we have that on the stand. So make sure all the stands are in the right room, make sure they're organized, make sure enough sugar, patch cables are organized, like just stuff like that. Boards are 0, go in after an assistant, make sure they actually did their job, which they don't a lot of the time. And then it falls on you because you're supposed to go in and clean up after, and there's still a mic up. Why would you not take it down? So
Mm. So a lot of like more side of the hospitality part of the studio was kind of what you were taking on when you first got there.
yeah, but I was a little ambitious too. Like I was staying in sessions. Like I remember it was probably my second week, and I had hit it off with Carlos Alvarez. I got really close with an assistant that got all the big sessions. He's like, "You can come to any of my rooms." And so he makes sure he looks out so much. He makes sure you're seen and hey, go do that or like bring waters in right now so they can see you type stuff. So I was doing that and I was helping set up, but I was also the GA and I'd hit it off with Carlos at this point. Carlos wants me to stay. I remember Sam texting me and being like, "Yo, are you at the studio still by chance?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's the problem?" He's like, "Oh, normally we run if we're gonna stay and we run any of that by Trevor. So, I'm not saying you have to leave, I'm not kicking you out, but just run it by Trevor." So then I think I text Trevor and Trevor didn't reply. And he's like, sometimes no reply is a good thing. I was like, I don't want to cause any problems. So I ended up leaving. But Trevor
Oh
never
no.
mentioned it again. I probably could have stayed. But I was like, oh, I don't know. But I mean, and then Carlos stayed the whole next week and and I'm still very close with him. So, it's just, I just always kind of been ambitious and made relationships to where I can go indoors that most people can't.
Right. And that's the most important thing. Like you developed that relationship with him so he was willing to let you in on his sessions. That's huge, you know?
It's not even, it's not just like getting the door open.
Right.
Once the door's open, you have to prove yourself. I was working very hard, sweating. Like he saw me, "Yo, Morgan, I need this." sprinting out of the live room, like running around cables and stuff. Like, so it's just, and then on top of that, like he loves I make Cuban coffee. He loves the Cuban coffee I make. So I keep him stocked with that. And that takes 15 minutes every time I make. I'm over there like pacing, like I have so much to do. I have to set up headphones, I have to do this, but I'm out for 15 minutes right here. So it's just, but they see, even if you can't do it all the time, or I come in and Carlos plugged in all the headphones, and you're like, oh, God damn. But they see you trying to take care of them. You know what I mean? They see you trying to make sure they're good in any area. And like in the middle of us sweating and, throwing XLRs at each other, you're like, yo, are you hungry? You haven't ate all day. Like, you have to be thinking about all that for yourself and for them, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And when you're thinking about for them, it's easy to fall and not think about yourself. There's so many days I haven't eaten there, I've forgotten to drink water there. I just straight up don't even drink water anymore, just straight up coffee at this point. Like, it's not good, but you have to remember to take care of yourself. You know.
Yeah, that's really great advice. So what was the big difference from when you were a GA and now you're an assistant? So are you a recording assistant, mixing assistant? What is
It's just a regular system. Some
it's
recording
just called?
sessions, mixing sessions, anything I come in. So
Okay.
the difference is now I don't have to do any of the GA stuff. I mean, you should make sure your room is good, but I can even call in a GA to do that. Depending on the session, that's what I do. But a lot of times I do it myself too. Like, I'm not one of those assistants that won't take out the trash. Like, I really don't care if Pharrell or somebody sees me take out the trash. Like, I'm not one of those people. Like, and sometimes they don't, like, the big artists don't really want a lot of people in the room, so you might just have to do that. But it's not really a thing. But like, yeah, now I go in, I have an hour before and an hour after my session. So my session starts at noon. I should probably be there at 11 a.m. unless it's like a meeting or something. But even so, you might still want to have a mic up. You just never know.
Mm-hmm.
So I go in and I set up my room, whatever's needed. If anything, depending on the session, I'll go up and talk to Trevor. If I've had the client before or not, I'll know what's needed. Text the engineer if I know them or not. If not, hopefully they talk to Trevor. If not, you have to really guess and pray that you chose the right equipment and whatever. And they'll probably come in and be like, oh, yo, I want this in the control room. Oh, I want a different mic. Oh, and you got to just do it on the fly. You got to do it fast because the session's supposed to start right now.
Right.
And hopefully there's no problem, there's no issue, and you know what you're doing, where all the patch points are and all that.
So
So
you're basically in charge of setting up the microphones,
yeah,
routing that, and then setting up headphone cues, I imagine, and
yeah, we
making
have
sure.
set cues. And I mean, really everything. You have to make sure the computer audio and the aux, those are all normal, but they're normal to externals, but I tend to put them on channels. So just testing all that, the mic, everything, talk back, that's important. So I can test the mic and I can do that with my phone, but I need another person because I need to test the talk back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a few times where I've been like, oh, it should be fine. And it was not fine. Like, test everything every single time. Um, I cannot stress that enough. But
Yeah,
then
the one time you overlook it is the one time it's not working.
it's always a session like the engineer, you don't want to deal with that. But then other than that, like once the session starts, it's really like if the change of microphone needs to happen, or if the artist goes in the booth, you go change the mic height. If they need more water, if they food order, I gotta take it. I gotta call it in. I don't have to go get it now. GA does that. I still gotta call it in. Um, we have paperwork at the end that I have to get signed, and then I just have to sit in there. Really, for anything could happen at any moment. Technical problem. Oh, we need to print. Oh, we need this. And a lot of times it turns into like, oh, I need this outboard gear, now you need to patch it, or oh, how do I route these channels, or oh, how do I do, and you just have to help. And sometimes old engineers, they don't know quick keys, they don't know, you just have to be there. Depending on the session, I've had to sit down for the engineer, and they tell me what to do, or I've had to, just be right there on their side. They don't want me to go anywhere, or they don't care and I can leave. It just really all depends. You have to feel your relationship, feel the client, feel the room. I've been asked to leave rooms, I've been asked to stay in rooms. You just never know. Everybody's different.
So you get to do all the setup, and then the engineer just gets to come in and have the fun part.
Oh, hey, did you put this up that I said? Oh, what happened to this outboard? It's like, oh, yeah, they get to sit down. But sometimes they let you sit down.
So how does it work there? Do you guys have like a central equipment room, or does each room have its own mic closet?
No, we have a one mic closet, and then we have a cable closet right next to it. And then each room has its own set of equipment. And then if we need anything extra, we have a room that has that.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
a lot.
All right. So how did you get the job though at Criteria? How did that work out? Can you talk about that story?
Yeah, I remember so still wanting to work for Marcella for a while, and this is right before I graduated at this point, but Marcella's, a little tough cookie. So I
Uh-huh.
didn't just like have a relationship with her. Like it was, seeing her a couple of times. Oh, hey, man, I remember you, what you've been up to. And I remember the Hall of Fame where I showed her the mix. She said, oh, of course, Morgan's in here, show the mix. So, we just kind of had a few moments like that. And then I remember I was kind of like freaking out one day. My daughter's in Michigan. I'm about to graduate. I don't have a job yet. I want to work for her. I don't know if she would hire me at this point. Like I have no clue. So I call her. I'm like, yo, do you have any time to talk? And she's always told me like, the mother thing, I'm being a student, about to be an engineer in the industry. If you have any troubles in that area, like call me, like on a personal level. So I just did it one day. And I was like, yo, I need to talk to you. She's like, all right, I go to the studio in 10 minutes. Call me. So I called her and she was just like, yo, is there any way that you could get a job doing anything in Michigan? I'm like, I don't know if any of y'all are from Michigan, but no, there's not really anything serious up there. I mean, you can do it and you could work your way up and you could find an artist that might blow up, but like you can do that anywhere. There's no hit factory in Michigan,
Right. Right.
anywhere. So once we kind of got that out of the picture, when we start talking more about the hit factory, we hang up and I try and hit up Trevor. And I can't remember if I had already emailed him. I don't think I had. I think I then went to career development and I'm talking to my person and she goes, I can't remember we start talking about my resume and all of that. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to go to the Hit Factory. I'm going to Miami this weekend to see the city, to visit apartments, to do all of that. How fast can we get my resume to Trevor? And she's like, oh, I have a lot of students. You just came to me, like probably like 2 weeks to go going back and forth with
Ooh.
get a few edits and whatever. I was like, and I did not like that answer. So I was like, 2 weeks? No, 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 no. So I took my resume with what it was, made it a little bit better, put my most recent stuff on there. And I think I asked her, I was like, do you happen to have Trevor's email? And she was like, I think she said no, but like you could ask them or Marcella or somebody for. I'm like, they're not gonna give me his. I'm like, what? Like, why would I ask for someone else's information? You know what I mean? I just thought the school might have it. That was all. But so then I was just like, all right, it's cool. So I go and I call. I just call Trevor, and he doesn't pick up, but his machine does. Hey, this is Trevor. Da 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 da. If you need me, leave a message. If not, you can email me at da da da. I was like, oh, I got his email. So then I email him, I think, but I hang up. I don't leave a message. I did not leave a message. It was probably noon, so I was like, he might be at lunch. He might, who knows what's going on. I try again at 5:30, and he answered. And so that's when I talked to him. He goes, okay, send me your resume to my email. This is my email. I was like, okay, cool. And I sent him my resume, didn't hear back. And I come to Miami, and I don't know if I emailed him again. I don't think I emailed him again. And I came and saw the studio. I saw a couple apartments, and I went back, and I think I emailed him a couple weeks later, and nothing. At this point, I'm graduated. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like sweating. I think I'm still doing a couple things around school, and I got a couple WE jobs like off campus, and then I got a TV show on campus that I think Jackie helped me get. So I got to do sound engineering. So at least I had like some money coming in, but like I was like I couldn't see past July,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the scariest thing. So or like my future really, I don't want to be in TV. I was like I don't want to float like this till I make it or make it and find a job. It sounded terrible. So I remember being at the TV show and everyone was kind of talking to me, and I was like, yo, I'm moving to Miami like the day after this show. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I did not have an apartment. I did not have anything. I was like, it's set and stuff. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, I'm moving to Miami. And literally on set, like, I find an apartment, I find all of that. And I remember they paid me a $600 check. And I literally went to Miami the next day. Because
Let's see.
that's the day that my lease happened to be up in Orlando, but I couldn't fathom like signing another. It
Yeah,
was just
signing another month or another year, whatever it
month
is.
was expensive. It was, yeah. So I moved to Miami, and so I remember the day after like moving and getting kind of settled, I called Trevor, and he didn't answer, but I left him a voicemail this time. I'm like, hey, this is Morgan. You know, we've talked a few times. I just wanted you to know that I moved 5 minutes away. And I remember, okay, I have to back up a little bit. So right before I call him, I think I got a phone call or an email from Tony Mardini. And
Okay.
Tony Mardini was actually, I want to say, before I went to Miami, he's the one that kind of got Trevor to look at me a little more. And he was the one who's like, oh, you're valedictorian, you're this, like, oh, he's going to love you. And I remember being in his office one time and and he texted Trevor, like, hey, this girl, and I think it was when I got back from Miami, like, oh, hey, this girl reaching out to you. I just want to make sure, like, did something turn you off about her? Because I think she'd be a great fit. And he was like, no, I'm just slammed. I feel so bad. And that's when Trevor reached out. And then I lost touch with him for a few more weeks. So then I moved to Miami and Tony hits me up and he goes, yo, one of my guys just quit. He got an opportunity with Wayne. He's gone. So there's a spot open. You need to call him. I literally just moved like the day before. So I call Trevor, leave a voicemail. Hey, this is Morgan. Um, whatever. And I'm 5 minutes away. Like literally, I'm on my balcony and I think I can see the Hit Factory. And I got a call or maybe an email. And I remember I was going a lot back and forth, Orlando, Miami. So I was in Orlando and I got the email, I remember. And he was like, okay, are you free tomorrow? Let's have an interview. And then I was, and then I did an interview, and I did not know how that went. It was very, very nervous. And then I had to go to Michigan. It was my daughter's birthday again. So I went to Michigan for 2 weeks, and I was planning on emailing him when I got back. I should not have waited that long because when I get an email from him, surprised I haven't heard from you. That
Ooh.
I'm like, oh God. And I think I said like, oh, it's my daughter's birthday. I was planning on seeing you or on talking to you when you get back or when I got back. And I think that just kind of simmered it a little bit. And he's like, all right, I'd love to give you the opportunity. And I was like, oh God. And I remember I was in my kitchen. I looked around. I was like, yo, I got the job. I got the job. Yeah. So that's how I got the job there. It was just kind of more like persistence than anything because he was not,
Right.
I wouldn't even say it was anything like I was doing. He was just busy, so he's just not replying and not whatever. How many people are emailing him, calling him like that? He does not have the time of day to care about my dream right now. Like everybody has a dream.
So yeah, that's so important that I think, you showed how serious you were by moving to Miami. I think a lot of times, students maybe go back to their hometown because it's convenient and, you're not making any money, so living with mom and dad or whoever might be a good idea. But if you're sending resumes from another state than the place you're trying to apply to, they may not look at that too seriously. So the fact that you took
Right.
that risk and moved to Miami, I think probably is what kind of pushed you to the top of that list. And for those of you who don't know Tony Mardini, he is one of the heads of career development, and he actually worked at Hit Factory. So
And he wasn't my career person. Like
yeah,
I had a
but
different
he's like the head of audio.
yeah, I had a different lady and I did not like her answer about the resume thing. So I left. I walked out and I remember I was always close with a lot of people. So I was in Spark and I was the audio lead in Spark. And I walked down, they were at the time, they were still underneath career development. So I just walked down there and I was talking to Heather, who helped out with Spark sometimes, who does a lot of stuff for Hall of Fame, Heather Bartley. And we were just kind of talking about it and what I can do and who you've talked to Marcella and what about this? And she was like, oh, Morgan, you just said the Hit Factory? She's like, I used to work in career development. I'm very close with Tony. He's
Mm-hmm.
worked out of there before. I'm gonna text him right now. She texted him, got me a meeting. And that's how I got the connection with Tony. So then he was able to help me even further because he had his own connection.
Exactly. Tony's a great guy if you guys haven't reached out to him yet. Now his email's going to blow up, but it's okay. So at Criteria, do you guys as GAs or assistants, are you responsible for bringing clients to the studio or
Mm-mm.
no?
Yeah.
See, that is different.
Okay.
A lot of studios now, even as an intern, in order to get your foot in the door, they're like, "How many clients can you bring me?" And you're like, "Dude, I just started. How am I supposed to have clients?"
Yeah,
You
but we're
know?
more commercial and we do a lot of labels. Like, I mean, my session yesterday was Rosalia, so we have a lot of bigger names. I don't think he really wants us bring too many.
That's good. No, that's great. That if you can work for a studio that brings you the client, basically, you don't have to bring the client to
You're not,
them.
he doesn't have in-house engineers though. Like, this is the highest I can move up here at this studio.
Oh, I
I
didn't
then,
realize
I'm
that.
open to go freelance after this.
Gotcha. Okay. So when these acts come in, they bring in their own engineer.
Right.
So they're in a completely different studio than maybe what they're used to working with. So that's where you kind of bridge the gap for them,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. And then you have relationships. Your clients come back. So with Pharrell, me and Mikey, his engineer, have a great relationship. I know what they need. It's honestly, he shouldn't have to even text me before he comes at this point. And I have a bunch of engineers like that. There's engineer drop, there's just a bunch. So it gets to a point where you kind of know what's needed, and you can honestly at this point I can generalize the session. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? Oh, it's hip hop. It's one mic. It's this. Okay, we need the aux. We need this, but we shouldn't need too much more. And once you walk in the door, we can figure out the gaps. So, and at this point, I've been assisting over a year now. Like I know the rooms. I know, I can do this so fast. It's not an issue.
But it takes a year to get
Yes,
that knowledge,
and I just had that realization probably like a month or two ago, not even. So
right?
I was like, oh, I'm pretty good at it. It's 5 minutes. The mic's already up. Oh, like literally, no, it really happened like a month ago.
That's great, though. I mean, but that's something we say, especially Leslie says a lot. You just can't cheat the time, you guys. You got to put the time in.
Oh, and I'm still at the point where it's like I'm excited. I want to move to the next step. I see the engineer. Oh damn, like, I'm so hungry, but I'm humble enough to know I still have a lot more to learn in this position. And it's every single day is teaching me something. There's never been one day I walk in that studio and I don't learn something.
There you go.
You know what I mean? So, and if you do leave that studio, you haven't learned one thing. Like I'll look at something and learn something like, oh, put something together in my head. So if you really are just like disconnected and don't want to be there, if you're leaving, learning
Yeah. So you guys are mainly working in Pro Tools, yeah?
something. Yeah, sometimes we've had a few. Like 2 weeks ago, I just had a recall session, which was fun because I was on vacation when they started the set, and then I had to pick up the recall. So that's always fun. You hope it sounds the same, but you've never heard it, so you really don't know. But it seemed to go fine. So we have a few like that. Like right before COVID, we had Andy Wallace, and I was coming back from Hall of Fame week actually, and supposed to be on that session, and then COVID hit. My heart exploded. I'm so upset still. But I'd rather, I mean, me and Trevor were talking too. I was just at Hall of Fame around a bunch of people. I'd rather not.
Mm-hmm.
Marcelo was like, if you hurt that legend right now, I'm gonna hurt you. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not gonna do the session then. But then he ended up canceling, so hopefully he comes back. So we do have a few like automation on the board. Random people want to come in and mix. We'll use outboard gear a lot, but for the most part, we come out Pro Tools 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yep. And then would you say when you're working, are there producers in there building the beat as the tracking session's going on? Or are you guys getting stems or multi-track audio files or maybe even just a 2-track to cut vocals to? How's that process work?
All of the above.
All of the above.
It depends on the session. So yeah, so like Timbaland, Pharrell, they're building the beat there.
Hmm.
Sometimes, sometimes they have a bunch of beats there. I mean, a bunch of people just bring in 2 tracks. Like I think even Rosalia yesterday had a 2 track. Sometimes people will have stems. Sometimes they'll have. It is up to them. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, I don't like any of this stuff. Let's build one right now. And I have to go run and find a keyboard. So it's just whatever these guys feel. And everyone has their own workflow. Even me, I have my own workflow. You know, I wouldn't go in and do what these people do. I wouldn't set up my stuff the same way. You know, some of it not. Taking stuff from some people, and I don't like what some people do. You know, so it's like you know, so yeah, these people really have their own things, and they do whatever. You just have to go and be prepared, which is better for you as an assistant engineer. You just have to be prepared for anything. So
Mm.
therefore, you have to know everything.
So, this you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but how do you get paid? Do you get paid like weekly or do you get paid by project? How does that work?
Bi-weekly, like I'm just an employee, you know, but
Okay,
it's hourly, so it's by my hours. So like if I don't work, I don't get paid. So like, and
gotcha.
there's not always sessions, you know. So like right now, when we hit that 3 month period, that was scary, and I'm thankful that to be on that on well session, you know. But yeah, it's every twice a month I think, and then yeah, it's by honestly kind of I guess by session, but by hour.
Okay. And you feel like you're comfortable enough in what you're getting paid compared to the cost of living in Miami?
Mm-mm. But I don't
No.
think, I mean, like, I don't, it doesn't matter how much, it'll take a while before I can say that in Miami. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
Like, Miami is ridiculous. I don't really think you could be making like 200 grand a year and probably still be feeling like you're poor down here.
Right.
So, yeah, but I definitely feel like, you know, with the amount that I work, I don't really feel it. Paychecks are my pay. I know where they're gonna be, and you know I've accommodated my life where I need to. And if I need a roommate, I'll get one. If I, you know, so I've had you know 3 people in a 1 bedroom before for a while. Like, you know, so I've done what I needed to do
Ugh.
in order to keep my dream alive and survive.
Right.
But yeah, you know, you just once you get your head in the game and you become one of the people that likes to be there, and you've shown that you want to be there, they hear you and they will have you there. And
Hmm.
so I'm there all the time. And I don't really feel like I pay for a place that I'm not at a lot. And but that's okay with me, you know. I'm
Hmm.
down here to work, and I always have this philosophy, which might be different than some of you, might be the same as some of you, but I'm away from my daughter. And if I'm gonna be away from my daughter, I'm going to be working. I literally have nothing else to do. What am I gonna be away from her to party? Like that doesn't sound super great. Like you know, I'd rather be up there being a mom. So I need a reason to tell her why I'm away.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no reason, you know? So um, if I'm going to be gone, I'm going to be working. That's what I came down here to
That is so beautiful. Love you, girl.
do.
All right. So at this point, you guys can ask questions. You can either type them in the chat or if you want to unmute your mic. We got a couple of questions while we were going through, so I just want to make sure I hit everybody. Um, oh, is it Silika? She is in her 5th week at Full Sail. Awesome. Welcome. It is full immersion. She asked, "What would you say was the most crucial experience at Full Sail that helped solidify your path?" You kind of did bring on that, but maybe a little bit, dig in a little bit more on that.
Your most crucial experience at Full Sail? Hmm. Well, I mean, it was honestly more personal than anything because I mean, I moved down with my daughter and her father. We all moved down together, and his sister, was willing to watch our daughter while I went to school, which is she's a saint, you know what I mean? But so that all happened, and we were down here 6 months, and it just didn't work out between us, and you know, we were trying to figure out what to do. And Orlando was expensive too. And we had a 3 bedroom at the time. She needed a bedroom, you know. So um, it just turned out that the best solution at the time would be for um, for them to leave and just for Full Sail, just for the experience of Full Sail, and then we would all figure it out and we would all come down to Miami together was the plan. But that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with in my life. That happened 2 months before I had your class, actually. Um, and yeah, I'm about halfway through Full Sail, and that happens. And now I have to make this decision: like, are you okay with this, or do
Mm-hmm.
you want to go home? You started all of this. You put a lot of money, a lot of time into it. Like, do you quit now, when you know you can do, like, you want to show your daughter that her dreams are achievable, but are you going to quit yours? Just like your mom quit hers to take care of kids. You know what I mean? I don't want that. That kind of feels like a burden on me too sometimes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dang, I came along, my mom had all these aspirations and she just chose, and my mom, it was a decision. She wanted to raise us, but it's like, I want to chase my dreams. I want to show Zuri that she can do anything up under the sun, anything she can imagine. So I have to be able to do that. And that's why I came. That's why I started this. That's why I try to wear my hair more natural. That's why I try, I want her comfortable with who she is and what she wants to do. So with that, I kind of just came to the decision that I need to stick this out. And this is going to be one of the hardest things I've ever done, but this is what this is what I've started. And Full Sail felt, the energy felt too good. Something was right. Something was there. My talent came out. You know what I mean? Like, I needed to finish this journey. So that's kind of what I decided to do. But that was kind of the hardest thing. Once I made that decision, I jumped into Spark and I jumped into Rhino staging, which it helped set up concerts and stuff. So I did that on the side. I was a stagehand, and that kind of started pushing me. And that was I would say it was 5 months after I met Demo. So then we're kind of keeping our relationship, and then now I'm starting to get more involved. And I don't really know what to talk about when we talk. So I want to have something to talk about, and I want to bring something to the table, and I want to feel like I'm worthy to have, like, not like you're like this person, you like these Hall of Famers are these people that you can, but I want to feel like I have something to bring to you, that it's just not all like you just trying to give me advice and this, that, and third. Like, you can critique my work. Like, I want something to bring, you know what I mean? So I just kind of always stayed, but I always wanted to tell him something new. If it wasn't Spark, it was WWE. If it wasn't that, now I'm the audio lead. Oh, now I'm trying to mix. Oh, now I'm or now I have my sights set on Marcella. Like, it was just something.
Mm-hmm.
So with all of that, it just kind of pushed me to open doors and to do what I have to do, and learn the industry, you know?
Yeah. Well, Jackie was here. I think she had to leave, but she just said, "So good to see you. Love your story. Take care. Love it." Okay. So Elijah asks, "What are some good habits or characteristics you've noticed with the people you've worked with?"
Some habits.
Yeah. So like maybe habits of the engineers that come in. What are some habits you see of them that
Well, they definitely have like a different work ethic, all of them, to where you could walk into a room and sit, but you choose to work. Like, you have to have the will, which is something I've honestly struggled with. Like, this is in my house. It's not a great idea. My bed is right over there in that room, so it's like, so I just go sleep whenever. So honestly, like, as compared to if a client were to pay me to come engineer at the studio, I would probably do a little rough mix and make sure everything sounds good. Like, if I work on anything of my own stuff here, like, it's probably gonna sound crazy for like 2 weeks because I just go and sleep. You know what I mean? You have to have the will and the work ethic. So they all of them have that. But honestly, who impresses me the most is probably Pharrell, and Meg Thee Stallion impressed me a lot. Pharrell comes in and we might have finished at midnight one day, and he'll be in there at 7 a.m. sometimes. And then he just started, with my phone call, he starts making beats. He's making beats so everyone shows up. And that's what he's doing. And then all of a sudden, you start singing. And he gets an idea. He might lay it down. There might be writers there. They might expand on it. Or he might start another beat. And that's just what he does. And he might
right?
go outside and do a few phone calls. And then he's back. Like, he has at least like 2 rooms every time, if not three. He might have 2 to 3 artists there. Maybe one. Maybe it's himself. Like, it's so crazy. He just bounces around, like, and we're three assistants trying to keep up. Like, oh, where are they? Oh shoot, he just asked for champagne. Where did he go? Like, it's crazy, but his work ethic is out of this world. And Meg Thee Stallion really impressed me, the way she writes. She writes. If she goes lays it down, everything's perfect. And she's gonna keep on doing it. Like, Pharrell was calling her Meg the Machine. Writes and writes and writes. Like, all her feelings are right, and she knows exactly what she wants to say.
Oh, that's so amazing. So Elijah just wanted to say, hearing your story makes me want to push myself more. I feel motivated. Oh, yay! Kenzie is saying, "Hi, I'm about 5 months from graduating, starting to look for jobs and prepare for solidifying this industry as my career. Strange question, but how much room are you given for making mistakes in that entry level position and the environment of starting up in the industry?"
Honestly, a decent amount, at least where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
A decent amount. You can mess up a decent amount. I don't think I ever messed up like too bad as a GA, anything technical or anything. Even now, hopefully not too bad. I feel like I would have been talked to about it, but yeah, you definitely have a lot of room for and a lot of understanding. I mean, I got into it with one client, one ever, but not he's just crazy. And he pulls up one day, he knows he's not supposed to be there. And he just come and so they start calling Trevor, they start calling the owner about the GA. And I'm like, I'm on I think a Southside session. So I don't want to handle this right now. Like 808 Mafia's in my room. It's pretty dope. Like, so he's like asking a bunch of questions or whatever. I'm like, yo. So I don't even say anything. I go into my room and he goes and sits on the patio right outside my room. So I come out, they needed water or something. He's sitting right there. He said something, and I was like, what? And we just kind of go back and forth. But I'm like, I don't want to handle this right now, right? So I leave. I keep walking. Like I don't sit there and argue with you. That this is my job. I don't like to just get in arguments. So I leave, and he followed me, which is very strange. And him and one of his friends. And so I went back to the game room, and there was a bunch of their entourage in the game room, and I'm like, oh man. But what I didn't know is that the security guard followed me, like the security in the studio. So I was like, okay, thank God. So once I saw them, there's a stairway that goes upstairs. So I kind of dipped through that door. And they were standing at the bottom. They started yelling, and I started yelling, and then I just left. I was like, yo, and I saw the security guard come up, and he's like, bro, like, this is a woman, like, chill out. That's all I heard. And I kept going. And then that brings us upstairs, and I went and I came back down the stairs to reception, and I went back to my room, and I did not come out. My room, I was very thankful for the session I was on. I was not scared if you were to walk into my room at all. So I was gonna stay in here, just like. But
Yeah.
yes, the owner calls me and he was like, yo, the GA just told me what happened. He was already on at the GA and stuff. Like, and so he was like, the GA told me what happened. So I explained what happened. He goes, good for you, sweetheart. And
Yeah.
that. So, they are very understanding. They understand the industry, and when they understand I'm the only girl at the studio, and they do understand that you do make mistakes. You are paying your dues. Not everyone is the same. Some people learn different than others. Like, they understand all of this. But what they want to see is you taking it upon yourself to get past and to learn. Like, if I know I need to see something 3 times, why am I waiting for my session to see it the second time? Like, see it
Right.
3 times before your session. That's all they want to see. But there is, honestly, I would say I was surprised by the amount of error we are giving. A lot of
Yeah, and I think if you can establish that relationship that you are a hard worker and you are putting everything into this, they'll be a little bit more lenient on the fact that you've made a mistake. But I think if you come in with an attitude that's cocky, or you're just kind of like, I don't know, like you're not motivated, you're just kind of slumping over and you're making mistakes, I think those people aren't going to be around that much longer, right? So it also depends on your attitude.
They always weed themselves out.
Yeah.
Oh, and not even ways of them like making a mistake or ending on bad terms, but it's just like all of a sudden you look around and you're the only one still left.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of new faces, and any of your problems or competition, if you like to call it, or whatever, is gone. So that's why it's kind of important to be your own competition, especially in this industry. To
Mhm.
competing with somebody else and then they disappear. You know, where's your motivation?
So Gabriel, you have a question. Do you want to ask that on the mic? I can't hear you. Turn up your gain, baby.
Mhm.
How about now?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, I was too low. Sorry about that. I used to bring myself up anyway, so I guess that's a bad habit. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your successes, Morgan. Really inspiring. So you keep up that good work and that good attitude. So my question was a little more specific because you being at the Hip Factory, you obviously work with a lot of Latin artists, and my that's my main focus, obviously. My last name.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was wondering what kind, because I'm obviously seeing a sort of trend of this whole bilingual situation, mainly in just one genre though, and this is what's happening. Latin is sort of um, getting undivided as it used to be. It used to be so much subgenres that are not necessarily being played with too much. So can you talk a little bit about the focus that you see as far as Latin artists trying to venture off into different sort of rhythms or things that they're just not doing now?
I mean, I see it, I think, in every session. Everyone is kind of trying to do something different at this point. I feel like the industry is kind of like, I want to say, allowed everyone to be unique at this point, and everyone wants to express that and show who they are now. And not only that, try and make a new wave of something. So I kind of see that everywhere. So like honestly, it gets mentioned across all genres about the same amount. Oh, let's try and do the. Oh, how about this? And like, oh no, that's too far off, and we need to stay. It's kind of with
And then
everyone.
you kind of bring it down to the confines of that.
But at the same time, we have to remember that I don't speak fluent Spanish. I took it in high school, and I can hear you to know what you're talking about, but I don't know the details or the specifics of it. Like if you start talking about a cookie, I know you're talking about a cookie. But I don't know that shit, chocolate chip. I don't know peanut butter. So I'm getting like bits and pieces, and they might translate a sentence here and there for me, but like that's about it. It's
So
a
like,
very animated session when I have to assist because it's like, oh, I run to the mic because I know they need. I don't know if there's a problem with the mic or if they need to change the mic height. It's just like so through the control room they'll be like, So
yeah.
I'm not catching everything in those sessions at all.
hmm Okay, that's probably challenging to try to decide what it is that they're trying to do.
Uh,
Okay.
it's very, it's great. It's also fun and it's also taught me a lot about just people. Like everything's the same. Like I know the majority of what they want and what they're saying without having to hear their words because of body language, because of how they said it, the inflections. Like so, it teaches me a lot about that, which has helped immensely with my engineering, like immensely. So just picking up on inflections, like I said, or how someone wanted to say what, like you didn't even. You're asking a question right now. I can tell. Like it's stuff like that.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, and Austin, I think Thomas answered the question for you. So there are certain essay contests that we do every year around Hall of Fame. So if you follow Hall of Fame on Full Sail 1, you'll be able to see when those contests are coming out and what you can do. And I think the best way to approach writing that essay is just being honest and genuine about what you're trying to seek. And like Morgan said earlier, she can't even remember what she wrote in those essays, but somehow she got it.
Full Sail probably has it.
Probably have it, Morgan.
uh,
It was me, Danielle, and Liz who were reading all of those.
That's awesome.
okay, Kari, you're sending.
I'll have to look one day and see if I still have it. I was going to say, along with that, what Patrice was just saying, it's the essay, but it's also your involvement the rest of the year on campus, right? We're looking at your involvement in class and your GPA. We're also looking at your GPS and what you're doing beyond the classroom to stay engaged and learn outside of the classroom. And then the time and the effort you took to submit that essay to us saying how much you wanted to be a part of it. So it's not just a one-time thing where you sit down and write an essay. It's all year, every day, what you put in, which I think all of you have gathered from Morgan. She did. We all knew her on campus. We knew who she was. If we were carrying a box, she would stop and help us.
Aww.
Like it's being on it every single day.
Yeah, and
Just being a good human.
Yeah, I graduated valedictorian and I had 100 GPS. Like I did not make a mistake in that area. I showed up late to class a couple of times, but that, you can only ask for so much.
Right. It happens.
Some of them nights got long trying to do WWE and we were there till 2 a.m. and you wanted me back at what, 8? Oh,
yeah, okay. So COVID, you would say COVID kind of slowed you guys down business wise a little bit?
So busy, like so busy. When I tell you I was not worried about money for this year, I was there. Like I was even trying to decide if I even wanted to come to Hall of Fame because Papa and Andy Wallace was there that previous week, and I had been able to sit in the first day on the session. Then I was leaving for Hall of Fame, and I'm like, oh. Marcella told me to stay. She was like, you need to stay. I was like, I ended up going, but I should have stayed because then he canceled that second week. You know what I mean? But I forgot the question.
So, uh, so once like COVID hit and
Oh yeah, so yeah,
everybody was shutting down, how did that affect your?
so yeah, that was like we were so busy. Like I was like, so we had legends coming in. Pharrell had been camped out for 4 months at this point, and he's bringing everybody through. Like he's bringing, I think in a week I worked with Monica, Meg Thee Stallion, and SZA, and then Rihanna came through. Like there's so many people. And then when he takes his few days off and he might, be with his family or fly somewhere, who knows? I'm still getting sessions. So then those weekends I had little baby sessions or I had a Shakira session for a while. And I was able to work on the Shakira and Unwell song. And then also I was able to assist when they were preparing for the Super Bowl. So it's like, yo, we had just like it was so much when like everyone was excited. You could not, no one could sit still. Like everyone had a session that they loved, and everyone that they clicked with. You know what I mean? Like it was weird. All the artists that like the assistants get, it's just like you just click with them. It's like they are you. You know what I mean? It's weird. But like if I were to get Max's client or like Jamal's client, it wouldn't work the same. It's like the personalities just work so well together. But the studio was so busy. Like I was so excited. I mean, it didn't even matter what I was getting called in for. I knew it was something dope. And then, Hall of Fame, and I did, no care in the world. Everything's good. Boom, everything shut down. I was like, whoa, sessions on the books. I'm canceling stuff that had been, booked 3 months ago, is what Trevor told me. I'm like, oh, and it hasn't been the same since.
Oh, that's too bad. But I'm sure it'll ramp back up eventually.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure so. Honestly, everyone's like everyone in all they've been doing at this point. If you're an artist, making beats or getting beats and writing, making music, doing demos or whatever, recording maybe a scratchable at your house. But you guys want to come in and work. So that it'll whenever this stuff actually does open, or like get a little less. What am I trying to say? A little less
closed down.
Yeah, that's then it was just the industry is going to blow up. Like,
yeah,
in my opinion, I think.
Yeah. Do you guys do any commercial work too? Are you doing any post production at Criteria?
I heard. I don't remember when it happened. If it was right before I got there or right around when I got there, they did do some posts for Spider-Man, the Spider-Man movie that came out. But that's the only one that I've really known.
Okay.
I know of a couple others like a few years ago or back in the day, but none like since I've been there.
Yeah, because I mean, I think you're in a unique situation at the studio you're working for, but a lot of studios are struggling to stay open, so they are taking on more and more post production gigs just to keep the lights on. So, I would say for students who are only interested in doing music, that's great, but also have those post production skills down because you never know. You might, if it's between you and someone else and you can do dialogue editing and they can't, guess what? You get the gig, not them, right? So
that's something. I mean, like when I graduated, I was 50-50. I remember having a conversation with Darren Schneider, and he's like, yo, I've never met anyone who's truly 50-50, like movies and music. And I was like, bro, I really can't decide. I wanted to go at that point, that Hall of Fame. I walked from that mix session with you and Marcella and everybody right over to Studio B, I think, Studio B, to the post production with Gary Rizzo and all them. So I showed them the movie, and I got in a really good connection with Gary Rizzo and Frank Shearing from that. So I'm like, yo, I just don't even know which way to go. Like I want to do everything, but they're telling me I have to choose. I don't know how to choose. So I ended up going with music, but at my heart, still has a little post in it, you know.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
No, right?
Marion asks, are you doing any sessions at your home studio during these times?
Like I'll do like mixing sessions, but I don't have people at my house. Even before COVID, I don't like people
Yeah,
know
I feel you.
and you know, in studio sessions, you don't, as an engineer, I mean, you have to take a little bit of control, but you also have no control whatsoever. Like they eat when they want to eat, and if they want to smoke, they want to smoke what they want to smoke, and it's like I don't need all that energy. It's a lot of energy, you know. I gotta protect myself. Like we'll do this at a different place, you know. I'll rent out a room, you know, or something.
Right, right.
But I get a lot of mixed sessions. And I'll do all that here.
Cool. All right, guys. So we're about at the end of our time here. So Kari has posted the survey link for you guys, so you can get that GPS credit, and you have 1 hour to complete it. I'm typing in the name of this event, so you guys can put that on there. I know they asked for that, so they all are. All right. So Morgan, thank you so much as always. I hope you have a great time with Little Bit, and
I will. She's so crazy. I'll send you a picture when I get there.
all right. And Thomas Owen says to you, congratulations on your continued success, Morgan. Yay!
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so
yeah.
much.
All right, well, go get packing, girl. You got a flight to catch.
I've barely begun. This is bad.
Well, enjoy your time, and I hope we can catch up soon. I know you're super busy, but we'll make it work.
Of course. We'll do another one of these soon.
Okay, sounds great. Love you, girl. Be good.
Everybody stay safe.